Now, once you start to develop an understanding of MMT principles and start thinking about the challenges that society faces and the policies that we might develop to meet those challenges, the sort of questions you ask are fundamentally different. Think back to a sailor when everybody believed that the world was flat. The sort of questions they would ask would be, how far can you sail out from the shore before you fall off the edge? And of course, once they understood that that was mythical, the questions then were quite different that they would ask. And it's the same in modern times with these challenges that society faces. Take the so-called ageing society problem. What's that about? Well, this is the idea that dependency ratios around the world, particularly in advanced countries, are rising. What does that mean? Well, the dependency ratio, very simply, is the ratio of young people and retired people expressed as a percentage of the rest, the workers who are of working age. And the problem is expressed that as rising dependency ratios are witnessed, that means more people are going to have to be supported by pension systems, health systems, and less people will have to be supported by education and work. And so the problem that the mainstream economists then suggest is that the government won't be able to afford to provide healthcare and hip replacements for characters like me, that they'll run out of money. And that the solution they propose is that they have to save up now and build up a little piggy bank of money so that they'll be able to afford the rising demands for healthcare and rising pension demands. And they also say that, well, we need to make people work longer, so there'll be more people working for a longer period of time. And of course, that really disadvantages workers who've worked very hard manually for their lives, because they can't work into their much older age relative to, say, a person like me who works in an office environment. And the mainstream solution, having to save up money, becomes an austerity solution, that they cut spending now to save up for the future. But the spending cuts now, as you now appreciate, undermine the economy today and undermine confidence of business firms and undermine investment in technology. And why does that matter? Well, when you think about what's the problem of the ageing society, it just means that the generations that are going to be coming through need to be more productive in material terms than the previous generations, because they're going to have to support more people in their material consumption of goods and services. And so the last thing you want to be doing is running austerity programs that undermine education expenditure, that undermine in business investment, because those things are the future of productivity. If we've got more highly educated young people, if we're investing in research and development in our university systems, that's the future of productivity. And that's the solution to the ageing problem. And you understand that once you understand MMT. And so the questions you then ask of governments who are running these stories about austerity and needing to save up, you ask different questions. Why are they doing that? Because that's not the solution. Now, take another application, and here we talk about climate change and the need for a green transition. And in the popular narrative, we understand that there's going to have to be some fundamental investments from government in the economy, some fundamental shifts in technology use, and probably a larger government sector, because the market won't deliver the sort of changes in the short run that are probably necessary. And we get besotted by arguments, well, how are we going to afford them? How are we going to pay for it? And that's because the framing has been that the government would run out of money if it starts spending big in the economy. And so MMT has very little to say about climate change debate and the need for a green transition. But what it has to say is extremely important. And that is, as we've learnt, it diffuses the notion that the government is financially constrained and can't afford to pay for things, and shifts our focus to understanding that the constraints on government spending are real resource constraints. And so the questions government should be asking, and we should be asking of our governments in terms of the green transition, are where are the real resources are that you're going to have to shift from carbon to non-carbon? What are the labour implications of that in terms of retraining and retooling? What are the technological investments that are going to have to be made, and where are you going to get the resources from? And will the investments in those resources overheat the economy and need accompanying policies of this type that we've talked about during the course? They're the sort of things that an MMT understanding allow us to think about when we're thinking about something like climate change and the green transition. The last thing we want to be doing is reducing our speed of transition because we don't think we can afford it in financial terms, because as we've understood, that's another myth.